Okay, so hello and welcome everyone to this guided group meditation. I am your host, the facilitator here, Bante Warapagno, currently live streaming from a beautiful, bellissimo Italia, beautiful Italy. Today we're going to be taking quite a few minutes, maybe about 10 or 15 minutes till we get started. So if you're watching this later after we've already been live, you can try out moving ahead 10 minutes, maybe a little bit more, and then we'll formally get started with we're going to start with a reading and then move into a guided group meditation. And this reading will be focusing on Chan or Zen Buddhism. There's quite a few similarities, connections between the Zen approach to meditation and Vipassana. So if you're interested in Vipassana or Zen, this is a great opportunity to learn a little bit more about those. Like I said, we'll really formally get started about 10 to 15 minutes after this live stream has been started if you're watching later. And we'll also be live through Discord. So we'll have the community meeting together through Discord, and this will be kind of the secondary recording and more accessible way to join in this group practice together. All right? So a sincere welcome to everyone. Take a few moments to get settled into the space, to set your intention to practice, or in the case of someone who's joining a little bit later, maybe light your incense, take a sip of tea, and then move the dial ahead about 10 or 15 minutes, and that's when we'll get started. Okay, so welcome everyone, and thank you for being here and coming together to practice. Hello there, FYKZ. We haven't got it started yet, but we will be getting started soon. So you're just in time. Hello there, Macau, Aniweem. Welcome in. Just getting set up, and it'll take some time for people to join in. We usually have about 18 to 20 more. Let's see what happens today. Hello. Buongiorno. So if you're already here on the live stream, we're just getting things set up, and we will be getting started, I'd probably say in about another 10 minutes. So you can take this time to settle in, find a comfortable position for your meditation before we formally get started here. Hey there, Tyler. So we'll have some people here on Discord, and we'll have people here on the YouTube. Hello to everyone. Hello?
Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
Oh, good.
You?
I'm doing well. We're going to be getting started in about 10 minutes or so. 5 or 10 minutes.
Well,
Hey there, Anna, and Ricardo, and Wilson. And Jacob, hi, and my little brother Ryan. Nice to see you here. And let's see who we have on YouTube. We're doing from two places. The live stream is happening. Oh, we have 13 people here on the YouTube. All right. Okay. So hello, everyone. And the audio is not too bad either. Hey, Chesh. Hopefully all of the tripods and things like that aren't too distracting. And welcoming Keen and Gold. Great to see you, Gold, and Famo. And we also have two people joining us here. What is your name?
Rossella.
Rosella. Rosella and
Mauro.
Maru. Okay, Rosella and Maru. Right. So we're all coming together here. Hey there, Ethan. So taking this time before we get started to find a comfortable position for our body, just starting to settle into the space, into our meditation practice. We're going to be starting today with a reading on Zen Buddhism, which is going to be really interesting and lovely, I think. And then we're going to practice meditation together with some guidance. So take this time before we start to buckle in, to allow your roots to spread down into your cushion, wherever it is that you are. To practice meditation, you really have to have an interest in doing it. We really have to want to do it. There's no way to get around that. Okay, hello. So this time in a physical way is kind of like the temple doors have been opened. And so now, even though we want to do the meditation, we want to get involved as soon as quickly, we also want to open up the space. So it's an invitation for people to join us so that we can all practice together in the present. So the temple doors have been opened, we're live, and people are slowly joining in. So we have 10 people through the YouTube, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people here on the Discord. And 4 people here, myself included. What was your name?
Eros.
Eros. You have experience with meditation?
Yes, no.
Enough, okay. Good. And hey there, welcome in, Stephen. Great that you found the time to join us here.
Which channel?
What is it?
Which channel?
Which channel?
Yes, where everybody is joining us.
It's called Welcome to Monk Life. If you search for Welcome to Monk Life, you'll find it. You'll see the channel if you search for that. But you don't have to watch it through the channel because you'll be seeing live.
Yeah.
You'll really be a part of it.
How long will last about?
What is it?
How long will last about?
We'll see. It'll probably be about an hour total. But at the beginning, we'll be having this reading, and then we'll have a guided meditation. So we'll see how long it lasts.
I just say to her.
And at the end, we'll have some time for Q&A and sharing experience. All right, nice to see you, Steve. Oh, Holu, great that you're stopping by today as well. Glad to see you. Okay, so just about 3 more minutes, and then we'll start. We'll start at the 15-minute mark. All right, Ryan, you can come and watch later. You can watch the recording a little bit later. Yes. Okay, it's back on here. Okay. So welcome everyone to this live group meditation. We're meeting together from all over the world. We've got the two cameras, we've got Italy, we've got people here in person, we've got people on Discord, and we're also here through YouTube. So there's a lot going on, but it's not particularly different from a lot going on that we have with our mind. So it shouldn't be much trouble. As we get started with our group practice today, we can start with a few moments of just a deep mindful breathing. And so to really collect ourselves and to gather our presence, bring our mind into the body. Meditation is an engaged activity. If you're going for a jog and you stop jogging, you're going to fall flat on your face. So if you want to meditate, you have to kind of get involved. So taking a few moments here to start with some deep breathing. Three or four deep conscious breaths. Really beginning to collect ourselves. To bring ourselves here into this space. And to bring a bit of our intention into our mind. So do we really want to meditate? Is it something we are really interested in? If it's not, then we're in the wrong place. So we best not waste our time. But if we would like to practice meditation, if we would like to take a look at wisdom teachings of the Buddha, prioritizing our breathing, and just really allowing ourselves to come into this space and to settle in. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the fun stuff. Our bit of reading, our bit of teachings from Chan Master Sheng Yen. So these are teachings in the Zen style, the Zen tradition. As I said at the beginning of the stream, there's a lot of similarities of connections between Zen or Chan and Vipassana. So this should be quite an insightful reading and a bit of an invitation to learn a little bit more about what is Zen and what is meditation and really what is the path. How do we walk the path and how do we develop ourselves spiritually? And this book is called Getting the Buddha Mind, and it's taken from collections of the words of the teacher during intensive meditation retreats. So that's kind of the format of these teachings. So here speaking about the Chan, the Zen 7-day retreat. The 7-day retreat, or a meditation retreat in general, is a practice in which disciples or meditators gather for a period of intense meditation under the guidance of a master. The attitude of disciples during this period is one of total dedication to the task at hand, to shed, at least for a period of time, all the vexations of mind and body, and to bring the mind to a state of supreme clarity. In many ways, each and every time that we practice meditation, it requires our intensity, our diligence, our sincerity. There's no way to get around it. Just like when you're jogging, it requires the entire involvement of your body, your central nervous system, your cardiovascular system, any physical activity that you're doing. It completely requires your attention. And so too, when we practice meditation, it's not something that we do passively. It's not a form of consumption. And so in that way, it's a bit unusual. As in the modern world, it's very easy for us to spend all of our time consuming. So the attitude of those practicing meditation is total dedication to the task at hand, to shed, at least for a period of time, all the vexations, all the attachments, all of the things that we know are good for us, all of the pride, all of the arrogance, all of our desires, to shed, to put aside, at least for a period of time, all the vexations of mind and body, and to bring the mind to a state of supreme clarity, or a state of presence. Since the time of Shakyamuni Buddha, there has been a tradition of setting aside a definite period for deep practice. The aim was to achieve realization within that period. So this is what meditation retreats are all about. Setting aside a particular amount of time for intensive practice to develop, to achieve, to wake up. We learn from the Buddhist sutras that there were various periods ranging from 7 days to 14, 21, or 49 days, always a multiple of 7 days. In some cases, this period lasted as long as 3 months, and this is known in the Theravada Buddhist tradition as the Vasa, or the Waso period. So for those 3 months, monks no longer travel. They intensify their practice of meditation and study, and so work to develop themselves. Of course, it was only when Buddhism entered China that the term Chan retreat, and Chan here means Zen, so Chan or Zen, developed. In fact, what we call a Zen retreat literally means Zen 7. In the Pure Land sect, which is a tradition of Buddhism, one of the many, the practice of reciting the Buddha's name for 7 days is called Buddha 7. Reciting Kuan Yin's name for 7 days was Kuan Yin 7. Kuan Yin is kind of this archetype of compassion in Mahayana Buddhism. And in Theravada Buddhism, it's a common meditation method to recite Buddho. Buddho is a method of meditation. Some people even practice repentance prostration for 7 days, and that would be a repentance 7. These are periods when one practices with more dedication and energy than usual, with the goal of achieving significant results. Why 7 days or a multiple of 7 days? Our mental states are influenced by our physical states, which in turn are influenced by the cosmos or by our environment. Nature itself seems to take 7 days as a definite period. This concept of 7 days, and in the modern time, this is our week, is very ancient. It may come from the observation of celestial bodies. In the Bible, God created the world in 7 days. In India, the 7 days were related to the 7 planets. In ancient China, this period was called once come and go. Our body is a small universe, a microcosm, and it tends to reflect the great universe, the macrocosm. Our body and mind seem to demonstrate a cycle of 7 days. Thus, we take 7 days as the optimum period of practice. So we can go on the first 7-day retreat, the second 7 days, and the third 7 days to help us to get onto a smooth and diligent path of practice. And when we do a meditation retreat, or when we intensify our meditation practice, it really helps us to stabilize, to establish a sense of consistency, regularity in our meditation, which is very, very important for deepening it. In Japan, this practice of a 7-day retreat is called sesshin, meaning uniting or transmitting the mind. This can be interpreted on one hand as the roshi or teacher taking away the student's vexed mind and enabling them to achieve enlightenment. On the other hand, the student takes the mind from the roshi. So it's very deeply emphasized in Buddhist practice, in meditation, in any spiritual tradition, this relationship with a guru, a master, and the student. And so here, when we take that intensive meditation retreat, we're having a transmission or a relationship between the mind of the practitioner and the mind of the master, a receiving and a offering. So what is it that is transmitted from master to disciple, generation after generation? It is, in fact, the Buddha mind, the awareness mind, or the enlightened experience, whatever that may be. We can't necessarily know it without experiencing it, but we can get an idea of it. And the Buddha traditionally taught about it by expressing what it is not, what enlightenment is not. We also use the phrases seeing one's self-nature or seeing one's original face. The teacher, the master of this center, this monastery where I'm living at, we can say my formal teacher, speaks about this as created truth versus absolute truth. And absolute truth here is this kind of quality of ever new impermanent nature. So we have a created truth, which I often refer to as the story mind, or the mind of words and phrases. There is a created truth, there is a story mind, and then there is this ever new impermanent nature. All of our thoughts, our experiences, even our physical body, what we see, what we hear, all of it is in a state or depends upon ever new impermanent nature. So these experiences, these ideas, these characterizations of ourselves are totally and completely impermanent. And so we can say that the nature of reality, or what we come across, what we experience in enlightenment, what we may experience, is a seeing into the nature of this impermanent quality to all of our experiences, and certainly to our stories about ourselves and others. The person who has entered the path has done so because they want to break the endless cycle of suffering. So usually people who, especially Western people, who get into spirituality or meditation, certainly Western people who become monks, I would say, and people who really get into spirituality and meditation do so because they are suffering. They have a distinct and direct experience of suffering, and they don't want to suffer anymore. So the person who has entered the path has done so because they want to break the cycle, the endless cycle of suffering. At the moment of enlightenment, they are clear of vexation and have received the Buddha mind. So transmission means both that the student has had a Buddha mind experience and that the experience was recognized by a master. Although it is said that the Buddha mind has been transmitted from Shakyamuni, from the Buddha, to master to disciple, it is really the disciple who, through faith and practice, has come up with that Buddha mind. So we're not being given anything. We're not taking anything. There's not actually anything being exchanged. There's more of a recognition. The transmission is a recognition, a certification of your enlightenment experience. And so it's very important to work with people who have been doing this for a much, much longer time, because when you get in your head, oh my goodness, I'm enlightened. Oh my goodness, I've had this very powerful special experience. And then you go to the teacher and they say, oh, all right, that's not much of anything. Continue meditating. It's very humbling and allows you to continue. But if you don't have a relationship with an experienced practitioner, if you don't have a relationship with a teacher, then you kind of fall into this arrogance and pride and confusion and delusion, and you take what is not in any way enlightenment to be total enlightenment. And you're just running around like a chicken without its head, and that's not ideal, especially if you want to continue in the practice. So, to confirm the transmission, there must be an experienced master who can recognize the student's achievement. There are not many formal records of these Zen retreats, but a few famous cases come from the Sung dynasty. In one of these, Master Tuhui held a retreat in which 13 out of 53 became enlightened. Another master, Yuan Wu, transmitted to 18 disciples in one night. This gives you some idea of the power of a meditation retreat in the hands of a great master. And so if you can come across a master or a guru or someone who does seem to have a serious degree of enlightenment, it's very important to take advantage of that. And there is a distinct difference between going to a meditation retreat with a bunch of random people or someone who's generally guiding the retreat and meditating intensively versus being a part of a facilitated intensive retreat with a master that is watching the minds of all the people involved. And it also speaks to the power, the viability of meditation. So if you practice meditation, if you put your heart into the practice, you can wake up. You can transform suffering. You can see your nature. You can see through the transparent created truth, which is very ephemeral, very transparent. We have these stories about ourselves and about the world, but they're extremely secondary, tertiary, way down the line to our direct human experience that we're having moment to moment. And that human experience is certainly inclusive of that created truth or of that story mind, but it's in no way depending upon that story mind. In fact, that story mind, that mind of created truth, is depending upon impermanence. It is existing within this realm of arising and passing away. And so to attune ourselves to impermanence, to our nature, to awareness itself, we're putting ourselves in a much better position to navigate the world, and especially to do deep introspection. So letting go of what we believe and what we think about what's happening, relying on the breath, relying on hearing, having a body. These are also impermanent, but we can rely on them to start stabilizing the mind from this complicated narrative of ourselves and what's going on and all the past and future, all these different things. In Shakyamuni Buddha's time, there were disciples who got enlightened but didn't know it, and others who thought they did but in fact didn't. It was necessary for Shakyamuni Buddha himself, or one of his major disciples, to recognize and confirm the disciples. Therefore, to attain the Buddha mind and to be confirmed are strong reasons for participating in retreats or getting involved with a teacher. To one who has not received the Buddha mind, it seems very mysterious. Even people who have had a glimpse cannot always recognize it. This recognition cannot be explained, but can only be done by one who has already experienced it at a deep level. A good master has had many deep experiences and frequently can ascertain someone's level of attainment just by looking at them. Very often, affirmation comes through the master and disciple asking each other questions, or the disciple describing their experiences to the master. One who has seen their self-nature for the first time, or has seen through created truth for the first time, could not recognize another person's experience, nor are they ready to accept disciples. The chance of a practitioner getting the Buddha mind depends on them developing a great ball of doubt, which drives them to diligent and energetic practice. So this concept of doubt is extremely important. And it can be hashed out. There's many ways to look at it. There's many approaches to this doubt and how to cultivate doubt. Different traditions work with it differently. But primarily, the main thing is that if you think you know what's going on, if you think you are in authority on reality just by having an idea and a story about what you're experiencing, you're not going to be able to meditate. In meditation, we are putting aside our simplistic, animalistic, object, subject, narrative mind, and we are being with our direct experience. Firstly, we're allowing the mind to settle. So if we're wrapped up, if we're caught up in the legitimacy of what we think and what we believe and our position in the world, we are immediately putting ourselves in a position where we're not able to settle. To be with the mind, to be with reality rather than interfering with it, rather than adding on to it. So, at the start of a retreat, or at the start of our meditation, the students' minds, the mind of the practitioners, are usually scattered. The concerns of daily life are still with them. They may have fears and anticipations about being on a retreat or even practicing meditation for a few moments. It's actually a very rare experience, very auspicious, very uncommon to practice meditation. To get the opportunity to sit down and to look internally, intentionally, introspectively, with a form, with a method. It's very, very rare. So when we have this opportunity, it's important to really value it, to really appreciate it. But when we start, the mind is naturally going to be scattered. The concerns of daily life are going to be there. There may be fears and anticipations. There may be colds, pains, heat in the body, complaints about the bodily experience. And all of these add together, especially as we are identifying with them, all of these add together to a more or less uneven state of mind. So a scattered, complicated, uneven mind. And it's very difficult to apply ourselves in introspection when the mind is like that. At this point, when we sit down, when we bring up the intention to meditate, when we find ourselves in a position to practice meditation, and we experience the body has pain, the mind is confused, we're uneven. At this point, it is necessary to apply a method that will help us to settle down and become concentrated. And we'll start it there. So when we come to meditation, we have a scattered, complicated mind. We have stories in us that we're very devoted to, that we're very wrapped up in about ourselves and others. We have all kinds of judgments about pains that we're experiencing, pleasures that we want to experience, fear and desire. Our whole complicated life. We're healthy, we're unhealthy, we have a past, we have a future. It is just a total and utter mess that we find ourselves in. So finding ourselves in that mess, but also with an intention and an intention to practice meditation, we start by finding a comfortable position for the body. So at this moment, find a comfortable position for the body, whatever that is for you. Doesn't need to be a special meditation position. You don't need to become a yoga instructor in the next few moments, but just finding a suitable and comfortable position for your body to settle in and to be somewhat still. So finding this somewhat comfortable, stable position for the body, we can begin to bring our focus and our attention onto the feeling, the experience of having a body, the whole body sitting here. Closing our eyes if we like. Closing our eyes can often be helpful. And beginning to put our attention and our focus onto this practice, this phenomena of breathing. We can start with a few deep breaths. So breathing in consciously, intentionally breathing in through the nose. Feeling the air, the oxygen filling up our lungs and going out. The breath coming in and going out. Really taking an interest in putting our focus onto this activity of breathing. Feeling the directness, the physicality of the breath. There's nothing confusing about it. We're not confused when we open our eyes in the morning and see. We're not confused when we drink water. So in this practice of putting our attention onto the breath, nothing to be confused about, there's nothing complicated. Being with the breath. And as we focus on our breathing, we will naturally find that we get distracted. We will naturally find that we feel pain or even pleasure. Thoughts, sensations, all kinds of things are going to come up for sure. Our method of meditation is as we notice, as we are aware that we are involved in something, some sensation, some judgment, some thought. Don't worry about good or bad or right and wrong. For this period of meditation, when we notice that we've gotten distracted, that we've gotten wrapped up in something, at that moment of noticing, returning back to the breath. To this very clear, direct, and intimate practice of just breathing and noticing. Moment by moment, just breathing and noticing. For this period of time, beginning and ending with the sound of the bell, doing our very best to really practice, to really look inward, to really treat this moment, this breath, this noticing as the totality of our life here and now. Being with the breath and noticing. If at any time we get confused, distracted, or off track, just returning back to the breath. Beginning and ending with the sound of the bell. complicated thinking mind. We feed it all the time. We get involved with it all the time. Right now, cultivating a simple mind, breathing and being aware, being totally present with this breath, this noticing. Hearing, seeing, noticing thoughts, the experience of the body, not relying on any sensation, any experience. Moment to moment, returning to the breath, returning to breathing and being aware. Not falling into any kind of drowsiness or fogginess or sleepiness, but being really attentive, brightly aware, noticing the whole of your experience right here and now. Really being with it. With each and every breath, coming back to this awareness nature. Being aware. No friction, no interference, no right or wrong, just being aware. Just breathing. This practice of just breathing and having a body, being aware, is also called silent illumination. Nowhere to go, nothing to get, just having a body and breathing. Allowing our natural state of being aware to cover the whole of our body in all aspects of our life. It's not that we are in a state of deep peace or that there's no thoughts or pain, but rather that moment by moment we are coming back to breathing and being aware. That is our method. noticing those thoughts and stories, the general feel of the mind. And in meditation, instead of our usual way of pursuing those thoughts and feelings, noticing and returning back to being aware, returning to the breath. Accepting wholeheartedly whatever thought or feeling or idea comes into our mind. Not interfering or judging, noticing and accepting, returning back to the breath. Also bringing into the meditation a quality of gentleness, patience, an openness to being calm and aware, an openness to this experience of not relying on or defining ourselves by past, future thoughts or stories. Gently, sincerely, returning again and again to breathing and being aware. Breathing in bright, attentive awareness. Breathing out, relaxing, letting go, accepting. All of the guidance, the sound of my voice, the distractions, every single experience, noticing and returning back to this method, following the breath as it comes in and goes out. Breathing and being aware. In meditation, rather than our practice being to have an empty mind, to have a special experience, our practice exactly is to get distracted, to get confused, to become discouraged, and to notice and experience directly our capacity to come back, to rely on our very moment-to-moment presence, to experience directly, to gain insight into the nature of impermanence. Those thoughts, those ideas, those difficulties that we encounter in our meditation are exactly our teachers, our reminders, our encouragements to come back again and again. Really taking advantage of this opportunity to establish ourselves deeply in the here and now. No justification, no excuses. Right here, right now. Just breathing. become a meditator, to become a yogi, we give up again and again and again and again. But we don't just give up. We come back. We return to our practice, our method, again and again and again. So rather than falling into defeat, distraction, some story or narrative, some self-righteous rejection of the practice, of showing up to your own life right here and now, be defeated, and then come back to the breath, to the body, to being aware. What's it like to be in pain? What's it like to really be attentive to your life right here, right now? Without all the privileges, the toys, the games, the stories. What's it like to really show up? Allowing ourselves to be. To breathe. Silently and serenely, one forgets all words. Clearly and vividly, it appears before you. When one realizes it, time has no limits. When experienced, your surroundings come to life. Singularly illuminating is this bright awareness. Full of wonder is this pure illumination. The moon's appearance, a river of stars, snow-clad pines, clouds hovering on mountain peaks. In darkness, they glow with brightness. In shadows, they shine with a splendid light. Like the dreaming of a crane flying in empty space. Like the clear, still water of an autumn pool. Endless eons dissolve into nothingness. Each indistinguishable from the other. In this illumination, all striving is forgotten. Where does this wonder exist? Brightness and clarity dispel confusion. On the path of silent illumination, the origin of the infinitesimal. To penetrate the extremely small, there is the gold shuttle on a loom of jade. Subject and object influence each other. Light and darkness are mutually dependent. There is neither mind nor world to rely on, yet do the two interact mutually. Drink the medicine of correct views. Beat the poison-smeared drum. When silence and illumination are complete, killing and bringing to life are choices I make. At last, through the door, one emerges. The fruit has ripened on the branch. Only this silence is the ultimate teaching. Only this illumination, the universal response. The response is without effort. The teaching not heard with the ears. Throughout the universe, all things emit light and speak the Dharma. They testify to each other, answering each other's questions, mutually answering and testifying, responding in perfect harmony. When illumination is without serenity, then will distinctions be seen, mutually testifying and answering, giving rise to disharmony. If within serenity illumination is lost, all will become wasteful and secondary. When silent illumination is complete, the lotus will blossom, the dreamer will awaken, the 100 rivers flow to the ocean, 1,000 mountains face the loftiest peak. Like the goose preferring milk to water, like a busy bee gathering pollen. When silent illumination reaches the ultimate, I carry on the original tradition of my sect. This practice is called silent illumination. It penetrates from the deepest to the highest. Silent illumination. All right, so thank you everyone so much for joining in this group meditation practice. Please do keep in mind that this practice of breathing, being aware, is something we can bring to any and all aspects of our life. It's not confusing, it's not complicated. At any moment, we can integrate this silent illumination, relying on breathing and being aware. So at this time, if there are any questions or if anyone would like to share about their experience, the space is open for that. But regardless, if you have a question or if you want to share your experience, please move gently and mindfully into whatever other activity you'll be getting involved with this evening, this morning, whatever it may be for you. Okay? So thank you for joining so much, everyone. And at this time, if anyone has questions or sharing experience, the floor is open for that. We have, just for everyone to be aware, we have 3 dimensions, portals that are open. We have 10 people here. We have 5 people, 6 people in this room, myself included. And then we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. About 15 or 20 people here. So there's many dimensions, but feel welcome to share your experience or to ask a question in whatever dimension you happen to be.
I just question first. I just want to ask if for you, is it possible that other people can affect my spirituality? For example, if other people next to me have bad feelings, can just mess to me in meditation or when we're together. There is some kind of affection that the spiritual people next to, or it's just impossible.
No, there's an effect. The question here, if you didn't hear on the YouTube or the Discord, is it possible that there is an effect from people that are near to me in my spiritual practice, right? Something like that? Is it influence?
Experience, but also feeling.
A feeling. Yeah, just in the same way that if the air that you're in, or if your room is very dirty, let's say the room where you live is very dirty and filthy, it's going to affect your mind. But it's on a more gross level, from my experience, a gross versus subtle. So the more fine kind of very subtle ideas that we get about, oh, I'm being affected by this other person, I'm being influenced by my spiritual surroundings, it tends to be more just in your mind. And so in our meditation practice, the basic practice, the fundamental thing that we're doing is that we are calming the mind and settling the mind. And so as we are doing that, we're also settling our environment. But when we're in this habit, when we're in this way of relying on story, we're relying on created truth, we're relying on our story mind. When we're deeply involved in that habit of relying on our story mind, naturally other people's stories are going to affect us. And other people are presenting themselves in the world, right? We're seeing other people, we're hearing them, so we're affected by their presentation. But as we get attuned to, as we get accustomed to not relying on the story mind, not relying on created truth, it doesn't interfere with us so much. Of course, there's interference. We're going through difficulty or confusion, and our environment has an effect on that. But as we become practitioners, it affects us less. And actually, that difficulty can become kind of a support, even an encouragement for us to practice more and more.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Okay, anyone else want to ask a question or share their experience?
Than I was yesterday on breathing. And I'm very, very grateful to be here and very grateful to be in the three-dimensional communicating. It's powerful and I feel very privileged. Thank you, Betsy.
Oh,
And thank you, everyone.
me too. This is Anna. You can't see her, but Anna, yes, Anna. And she said at the beginning, other people couldn't hear, but she was commenting about the reading at the end, that she found that very, very fragrant, very beautiful. So thank you for sharing that, Anna.
What was that reading?
That reading is from 1091, or rather from Hung Chi Chung Chu, who lived from 1091 to 1157, and that is Silent Illumination is the name of that reading, and that's kind of the practice, relatively, that we were doing. Silent Illumination is kind of this practice of just sitting, just having a body, just being aware, and so it's kind of a Vipassana style Zen practice, but also with this quality of illumination. You're very aware of your experiences, you're very aware of what's going on, and you're kind of silently illuminating the whole of your experience. And that's from this book, Getting the Buddha Mind, which you can probably find somewhere. You can probably find it online. And I can take a picture of this and put it on the Discord as well, if you want to read it. Just remind me after the live.
I have something small to share. I guess I noticed that kind of like when you're trying to fall asleep and your mind starts to wander and you eventually find yourself dreaming, though you're not aware that that's happening, at least not usually. When I'm meditating, it's like it takes a second. It's like I'm already in a thought by the time I remember to go back to the breath, and it's just, I don't know, something I've noticed. It's like this kind of instantaneous identification with the thought and a distraction where it kind of envelops you, and it takes maybe a fraction of a second at least, sometimes more, and then it's like, oh, that's right. And then I go back to the breath. And it's just sort of, I don't know, just the way that thoughts are arising isn't just, oh, there's a thought. Actually, the very first thing is, it's like I'm identified with it, or I feel it, sort of strongly. And I don't really realize that that's happened until at least like a split second later.
Yeah, a split second and sometimes 5 minutes. Sometimes I just had an experience earlier today of I took a nap and I was finding myself in a dream. I was finding myself in this very vivid, bright, kind of real experience of a dream, but I wasn't aware enough, I wasn't attentive enough to, well, who knows what would have happened the more aware that I become in the dream. Maybe I just wake up. But in life, we are falling into dreams. We are falling into deep reliance on created truth. And we're finding ourselves immersed in depression and anxiety. We're setting up these deep kind of habits of dream, of getting caught up in created truth. And so in meditation, it's this very lively, attentive, attuning our mind to come back, to be aware, and to rely on that awareness itself versus the content, the story. So I think for me, it helps me to be more embodied in the world, in whatever experiences that I'm going through. Meditation helps me to be more attentive to not only just awareness, but also my deeper values, and my deeper wisdom that I have and that everyone has.
Yeah, I agree.
How about anything to share? I'm sure people would love to hear from Alfonso or
Mauro.
Mauro. Okay, Mauro. Anything to share? Any thought?
Yeah, sometimes many people speak about mind. Can you explain what is the real concept of mind?
Well,
And how sometimes the mind it can become very inimical, no? To even a person. And how control the mind and make it friendly?
I think for me, there's a lot of different definitions for the mind, right? I think for me, I like to understand the mind as my awareness nature. So, who knows what's going on in that mind? I don't know. I can't control it. I can't seem to fix it in the way that I'd like to, right?
What is for you the mind, the concept?
Yeah, so for me, the concept of mind is awareness, moment to moment. So things, experiences are arising, my physical sensations, thoughts, words and phrases, relationships, all kinds of different experiences are arising in the present. And so I would say that all of those are mind. But the ground of mind is this awareness. And that awareness of all those phenomena and experiences is the primary mind. And so the mind is not those experiences, those definitions, those qualities, but rather it is this open space, this awareness that is totally inclusive of all of those qualities and phenomena and sounds and thoughts and personal identifications and all that. That's how I would say it. That would be my definition.
So mind is awareness.
I would say, so, yeah, that's how I would say it. Yeah. Thank you. That's a wonderful question. Mauro.
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 No, M-A-R-U-O.
Mauro.
Yeah.
Mauro.
Yeah.
Mauro. Okay. Mauro. Anything to share? Any thoughts about the poem or the style of meditation? I don't know, poem or teaching at the end? No? Okay. All right. So thank you, Mauro. Mauro, thank you so much to everyone who joined in this live group session. It was a little bit rocky at the beginning with all the extra things, but it turned out to be so lovely and wonderful. So I'm really grateful for everyone participating and practicing. Of course, meditation is fundamentally a personal practice, and there's no way to get around that. But practicing together always inspires me and encourages me, so I'm really thankful for everyone joining and participating with this degree of sincerity and attention. It's really meaningful. All right? So if you'd like to join me in kind of a closing chant, we'll chant the word sadhu, which is found in Hindu tradition, it's found in Buddhism. And this word kind of means, may it be so, and well done. So I'll offer just a few words of sharing the merit, dedicating our practice to all beings, and then we can chant together this word sadhu if you like, or you can just listen. It's up to you. Okay? So you can join your palms together with me if you like. May all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May my practice continue to grow and flower. May my practice help me to establish peace and compassion in my own life. And may I share that practice with all beings to support them in their peace and their happiness. May all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. Sadhu. Okay, thank you for joining, everyone. That's the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming here and
Ah, yeah, of course. It's a treat for me.
Thanks, Monte. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. See you, Stephen. See you later.
enlightening.